This is the situation in Europe and the Middle East and the Persian Gulf at the end of turn 2. In Norway, the Russians are really finding it very difficult to make any progress due to the terrain and the Arctic movement. They have captured a couple of airfields and ports though, so that means that they could close off the Norwegian Sea. They managed to make an amphibious landing to capture a port there, but the weather has really been bad up there. There's been a lot of storms and it just makes it very difficult for any air operations to take place, because although there are all-weather aircraft, they're not really deployed up north in any numbers. In terms of the Denmark and the Baltic Sea, Russians have captured Kiel and Lubeck now, so that means they're able to conduct amphibious landings. Next turn, the Danish army has been forced to retreat into Jutland, and the Russians have followed them up, but they haven't got enough troops to actually do anything in Jutland yet. On the main German front, there's been quite a lot of fighting, and the Allies have been forced to give way into better terrain. They've lost the city of Hanover. They've lost Bremen, I think. Not Bremen. Sorry, I'm talking rubbish there. So they've lost a few more cities in that area, and the line's buckled, and NATO have basically pulled back into a more defensible position. They've still got a solid line, NATO, but with the French army coming in here, you've got Italian army in reserve there, and the Spanish arriving here. So there's a lot of pressure on the central front, but it's not breaking, even though it's bending a bit. Southwest, there's nothing going on because all the neutral nations of Austria, Yugoslavia and Greece effectively keeping apart most of the combatants. There's been fighting down in the Balkans. The Turks have taken a bit of a battering here, to such an extent that the Warsaw Pact forces are now on the outskirts of Istanbul. Some American strategic reserve units were moved in to Istanbul to help out the situation. It's looking pretty dire there. Likewise, the situation in central Turkey over here. The Russians are pressing in the Anatolia. They've also got quite a bit of units fighting way in the east. They're really cut off by the Soviets to a certain degree. Kurdistan is quiet. In the rest of the Persian Gulf, there's a sort of line, a terrain forming with a lot of Iraqi units in place. Iraq's brought in a lot of territorial units. There's some American units over here holding up the main Russian units. Although the West own all these towns and things, they're not going to be able to hold them for much longer, because they're effectively behind the front line now. In terms of the Middle East, Syria are in a terrible state now. They're shaken and they're pretty much disrupted. Turks having to go up north here. That marker there shouldn't be there. Get rid of that. Okay. Golan Heights. Syrians are being pressed very hard by the Israelis and the Jordanians. The Israelis have inflicted terrible casualties on the Syrians, but they've lost a lot of units themselves, so they've brought an armoured division up north from the Sinai. Now that's weakened their position in the Sinai, which is pretty much stalemate at the moment, so maybe the Egyptians will have enough troops to actually launch an offensive. I doubt it though, because the fact it's overcast means that hardly anything is going to be available in terms of air power. So that's it, going into turn 3.